Okay, looks like it's working this time. For some reason, it wouldn't connect. Okay. Well, or is it working? It's at least recording. Ah, there we go. I just want to feel like I'm talking to somebody instead of just to myself. I'm making a series of videos on Oxygen Not Included, talking aimed at starting, at how to start, at suggestions, at ways to make the game, what sort of things you have to do as you start, etc. Mainly, this is aimed at my dad. So, but I wanted to do it live because I know there's got to be somebody out there who's still starting out for the first time. I'm gonna put in the that I'm doing very basic, Oxygen Not Included. Now, cleverly, I already videoed this all this evening, and then somebody pointed out that my microphone was not on. Yeah. Yay for me. Okay, so now this is the opening screen. There is a screen before this sometimes that has a message on it. You just click through till you get to here. Now, this is resuming game. If I wanted to go back to the game I was just playing, I would go here. I'm going to start a new game in a minute. I can load an old game. It actually lets you load all the cycles, those are all the days, of your previous game, and then any previous games before that one. It just leaves you the last one. So you can go back to any of them, but it'll be the last day. You can't just do multiple days there. Um, the options can be important. You can go into the graphics one. You want to click on full screen so it reaches the edge of your screen. It's not just a little square. And resolution, try it at the biggest numbers at the bottom. That should pull you all the way to the edges. Otherwise, you might have dark bars blocking off part of your screen, which just is wasted space. So I would go ahead and take it all the way to the biggest number, and as long as everything on the screen here doesn't go off the edge, that means you've got that's good. The UI scale, oh, I will show that when I get into the screen. That's what I was going to do, the graphics. So I will come back to this screen after I open up the real game. The audio, I've got the audio here. I even went through all this, and the audio here is all down because it can get kind of loud when I'm talking. You can have it as loud as you want. I might have it a little louder. I like the music and everything. It's lovely. It's just that, oh, there we go with a little bit of background there. Um, it's just that when I'm talking, I don't want it to be really overpowering. Let's see, that's by comparison. Might take that down a little bit. Okay. And data collection, credits, audio, controls. Controls, this just tells you what the buttons on the keyboard do. Your basics are WASD, or yeah, well, I'll go through that again. If you look at your keyboard, if you're a complete beginner, up at the left-hand side near the numbers, you have W, and then below it you have ASD. And W moves you up the map, S moves you down the map, A moves you left, and D moves you right. It's a very simple combination. So that's just nice to know. The only other thing in here that I find I sometimes have to look up is this one, O, which is rotate, and building is not quite what it is. It's like rotate thing that you are trying to build at this time, not just a building. And what that means is if you have an item you want to put in, but you want it to be the other direction, O will flip it or rotate it so that it'll fit better. So done. And temperature units, you can have Celsius or Fahrenheit. And that's really all for now. I have to remember to come back to graphics. Okay, so we're going to go new game. Now, when this pops up, You can say standard game or custom game. I'm going with custom game because I want to turn the immune systems up to impervious. That means that germs will have no effect on my dudes. So, that way, I don't have to deal with germs and sickness. I just don't want to bother. So, that's me. It makes it easier for a beginning game. You can also turn their mood up to unflappable, but I like dealing with mood more than I like dealing with sickness. Stress responses on, that's part of mood. And the world gen seed, this is the random number that designates how the setup is once the game starts, what world it is. And if in the future you want to try again in the same layout, in other words, if you try something, if you do your world and you just don't like you messed up, something went horribly wrong. You don't want to back up, you want to start over. You could either go into load and go all the way back to day one and load it, or you could see the world gen number and type it in here and have the exact same world to start over in. So we're going to say start game now. And it takes some time generating a world. Now, the world might not be identical, but all the things in it are in the same place, meaning every little grain of dirt and algae or something might not be in the same place, but things like water pockets and volcanoes and ruins might be in the same place. Okay, now we get to choose our primary 3 crew. At this time, when you start the game, what you really want is diggers and possibly builders. It would be nice to have somebody who's good at learning, but you still have another chance before it becomes a big deal. So what we want is digging and building, and none of these are particularly suited to that. This is the one and only time when you can shuffle and pick somebody different. When you're offered 3 people later in the game, you only have those 3 to choose from. So we're going to shuffle and see if we can get, there's a little bit of construction. We're going to try for good numbers. Ooh, 3 digging and 3 construction. He's flatulent, which that's a little annoying to the other people, but it doesn't really hurt anything. He wants to do research, but he doesn't have any learning. He's not really bright. We'll put him in doing something. So, and his stress response is he's a binge eater. This does not come up anytime soon. This has got to do with the unflappable that I was talking about, mood. If their mood gets really bad, this is what they do. He binge vomits, he binge eats, she vomits, and he cries. The other one is destructive. So he's got 3 and 3. That's not too bad. We'll hold on to that one. Let's see what we can get here. Only creativity? Creative ranching. There's 2 construction, but -3 strength. Nothing. 2 digging. 8 creativity. Creativity is what makes art and can decorate, but we're not going to be to a point for decoration anytime soon. We really want digging and my bad, I went past the +5 digging. Oops. There's a 2 digging and a 3 construction. That's not too bad. Gastrophobia means Gossman will not cook, but she can pretty much eat anything without getting diarrhea, and that's very helpful. We'll leave that for the moment. Now, let's see what we can get over here. As you can see, you can end up with the same character, but with different stats. And that's because these are all clones, and they screw up they screw up their little genetic profiles from time to time, so they turn out different. So we're basically picking a clone now. Now, this one has +3 construction, +4 athletics, which means she runs fast. She's got learning, and she's got tinkering, which helps her with machines. She's got squeamish, which means she won't do care. She won't look after an injured or sick person. But that's also not going to come up anytime soon. And diver's lungs, which means she breathes less oxygen. That's pretty good. I think we're going to take this one. They can still dig even if they have no bonuses. We just want bonuses whenever we can get it. I think I'm going to take these three. Now, also, between them, we've got farming, ranching, and learning, and tinkering, and that all helps as well. And they've all got athletics, so they can move reasonably fast. So we're going to start with these. We're going to Suave Crew. You can name it whatever you want. I think I'm going to name it... Oh, good. It helps if I can spell. Wow, that was pretty wild. Sarcastic response. I was like, I should think of a sarcastic response. Oh, we'll call it sarcastic response. Okay. So, first off, they've landed on a distant planet, and they don't know who they are or why they're here. And part of that is, I suppose, in the mythology of the story, so to speak, somehow whatever your civilization is, basically has figured out a way to teleport this arch into an air pocket somewhere deep inside an asteroid or whatever it is. And the arch is effectively a 3D printer for clones. More or less. That may or may not be true. But anyway, that's how I rationalize it. So we're going to begin. Okay. The spacebar is pause. The spacebar on the keyboard. You can also click the pause button up here. The scroll wheel on the mouse will zoom in and zoom out. These are the basic commands. As I said, W moves you up, A moves you to the left, S moves you down, and D moves you across. If you ever get so far out that you're not sure what direction is back to center, type H for home, and it will bring you so that you're staring at the arch. Or so that the arch is in the center of your screen. What we've got here on the screen, we've got our dudes and our arch. This is a box with a little bit of food. They have 16,000 calories. Whatever it is, kcals. And calories. Whenever this number drops below 1,000 for each of your people, it will tell you you have a food shortage, because each of your people like to eat 1,000 calories a day. They're pretty tiny. So it doesn't necessarily mean you don't have any food. It might be unreachable. It might not be harvested yet, whatever. But that's why it tells you often that you've got food shortages. This is the number of people you have. This brain number is their stress level. When the stress level goes to 100 is when they start vomiting, crying, and binge eating. Binge eating is kind of bad. Destruction is bad too. But if you're good and you're careful, this won't get too high too fast. This number is how germy and infected they are. And because I turned their immune systems to invulnerable, this will never go down. It's actually how healthy they are, so going down is bad. It will never go down below 100 because they're never going to get infected. We have the spacebar will pause and unpause. Then this makes you go normal speed. This is medium speed, and this is fast speed. That just shows you how fast their day will pass. They go faster and faster. This moon thing is the day, and this little slice here is the night as it circles around. When that little slice gets back up to the red, night begins and they all go to sleep. You get messages here sometimes. Some are tips. You can read them or not read them. And some are things that remind you what you need to do. The colony requires toilets. This is always the first thing you have to do. Down here are things you can build, and you'll see they're all grayed out because right now we can't build anything because we don't have any materials yet. You get materials by digging into the walls. I did say I was going to show you something in that questions. We're going into, I pushed the escape button up at the top of the keyboard to get this menu up. Here's where you can find out what your world number is and save for later if you want to use the same world but start over. We are going to go to the options and graphics. Now the UI scale, this is a slider, and what this does is it makes all those buttons bigger or smaller. I tend to keep them kind of small. I like to be able to see more things on my screen. And if you get too big, they overlap each other, and that gets just awkward. I'll make them a little bigger, though, for now. So, because these words are unimportant at this time. So, here we go. It makes everything a little bit bigger. It takes up a little more of your screen, but it's easier to see. Done. And then done. Oops. And then resume. Okay. So I've talked about all these up here. This is a red alert. This is something, I think it increases their stress level. I only ever use it myself if one of these stupid little people has trapped themselves and nobody else is helping them escape. If they have buried themselves or built their head into a wall or dug out the floor below them and can't get down off a ledge. There are so many ways these stupid people can kill themselves just by being stupid. Especially if they've trapped themselves somewhere where they will die during the night because they're going to... Or another one, they've gone down a ladder into the water and then built a wall over their head and they're standing there underwater going, I can't breathe. Yes, Bunny? My cat seems to find it hilarious that I will talk to myself all night. Yes, Bunny. Okay. These will colorize and bounce as they become usable. In other words, as you get the materials needed to be able to make things in them, they will draw your attention to them. Up here, consumables just tells you if you want to assign different foods to different people. That's something to do later in the game, much later in the game. Vitals, this tells you what their stress levels are, what their food expectations, etc. are. You know, that's pretty basic. Reports tells you what you did that day. I never look at it. Research is important, but we can't open it up yet because we have to build a computer first. And we have to build a job board to open up the jobs. Priorities. These three are the important ones up here. Priorities lets you set what jobs these people will do first. Now, I usually turn combat off. I will put emphasis on life support and toggle and tidy and operate. Whoops. And then build and dig and supply and storage. Now, the reason I pick so many is life support, once we've built algae terrariums or algae processors, life support includes going and feeding those. And we want to make sure, because they make our air, we want to make sure that those are kept going. Toggling comes up very seldom. It's when you need to open a door or make a door open permanently, or when you need to flip a switch. So it can be everybody's priority because it doesn't really matter because it's not common. Tidy Everybody has to tidy. That's generally a thing. Sweeping mainly. Now you'll see this says new duplicants, so this means that all these things that are up in here will automatically be applied as new people join the community. I can change it after that, but that's just the default now. She is the one with the research skill, so I'm going to make that a double priority. And this is our farmer. We'll make that a double priority, as is our rancher. I usually keep the farm and ranch together like that. And then on down into here, we've got a lot of building, and we're going to make sure everybody builds and digs and everything. Supply means they'll bring necessary supplies to, like, the food maker or to the research department. And storage means that they'll put stuff in storage. Now, the specialty type skills are research, art, cook, care, farm, and ranch. Generally speaking, everybody does pretty much everything else. So, we're not going to need somebody to do caring anytime soon. It usually is a long time before anybody gets injured or sick. And of course, nobody's going to get sick because I turned that off. So, we're going to just close that. That's okay. They know what they're doing, sort of. Now we'll look at the overlays. These are different ways to look at different things in your place. This is the oxygen overlay. You click on it and it shows you where the oxygen is, and actually where the breathable air is. It could be polluted oxygen and still be breathable and be blue. This is just a breathable, not breathable sort of overlay. Kinda breathable. Now this up here is a vacuum. It's got nothing in it. It's unbreathable. While down here, over here we've got chlorine. That's unbreathable. The color indicates the same thing for both of them, even though they're very different animals. This is your power wiring overlay. We don't have any wiring yet. I'll show that again when we do. Temperature, body temperature. This is lighting. This is your only real light most of the time. These are little bugs that glow. And you can put lighting in, but these guys don't need lights for most things. They like lights, but they don't need lights. You put lights in things like the dining room or the room where you're growing certain plants. This is our pipe overlay. Again, no pipes. I'll show that again later. The ventilation overlay, that's for ventilation pipes. This is for decor. Oh, it's pretty. There's plants here and a light. Oh, it's a light. Most of the time, you're going to have a lot of negative or bland decor. This is germs. There's usually no germs anywhere nearby when you first appear. It's just part of the setup. They want to give you time before you get sick and die. We will see germs later. I will show them to you, even though I have turned off their effectiveness on people because I've made the people impervious. This shows harvestable plants, things that you can harvest and eat. And this will show rooms once we have them drawn. If you make rooms like a latrine, which specifically has a toilet, a wash station, a door, is actually sealed in with a door and is within that size range, then they get a stress relief bonus when they go in there, and we're going to do that later. Same with their bedroom, same with the med bay, all sorts of stuff. Now, this, I'll talk about this later when there's more stuff here. As you can see, you can only see to a certain distance from where you are. As you dig and explore and climb out of that, this stays a fairly set distance from your most distant portion that you've reached. So as you move this way, this will move this way, and you can see more of the world, and we'll look at that again later. these are your action tools. You can dig. And I'm gonna give them a command to dig some stuff. We're gonna dig this direction. And actually, I'm gonna use the cancel tool, and I'm gonna cancel the lowest part. We're gonna dig up instead of down. Okay. Wrangle is for critters, and it only counts once you have somebody who has advanced to be called a rancher, to the level where they have where they are a rancher. It's a while till that happens. Harvest is harvesting plants. They can't get to any of these yet because we haven't opened up the way to get there. But once we do, they will be set to harvest them. If they're already full grown, they know not to do it ahead of time. Empty pipe lets you empty a pipe if you want to redo some plumbing or change it around. Sub priority shows you all the priorities on the map. All of these are little 5s because that's basic center priority. If you want to turn it up a notch, you could go, I want it to be an 8 that they do this. If you put an 8 up on one of these, they still can't get there, so it doesn't really speed it up. But this will make this the priority. You can click on priority to do it, or you can click on dig on the square it's in, dig, and then change the priority here. Sweep will come into play once they start digging. Mop is to, of course, mop up any liquids like vomit, if they do happen to vomit. Disinfect, again, has something to do with germs. I'm leaving it off. Deconstruct lets you destroy something you previously made, like a piece of wall or a ladder. Attack lets you attack critters, and cancel, like I just showed you, cancels an action that is scheduled, but only if you do it before the action happens. Now, we're going to go ahead and start them up and let them run around a little bit and get some stuff. Now you see, they just dug enough to be able to make something on each of these menus, or on one of them anyway. That's how it works. As they dig, they're accumulating materials which they can then use to make things. Oops, one of them is farty, because those two are smelling it. It's not an elbow, it's a nose. So, the first things that you generally need to build are beds and a toilet. Because we all need to sleep and we all need to poop. They may just be little duplicates, but they are like that. The toilet is in the plumbing menu, and you start out only able to make an outhouse. So we're going to make an outhouse. No, I don't want it there. I am going to keep them digging, though. We're going to dig over this way, and we're going to dig this out. This is, now, as you can see, each of these different squares of items are different elements. This is sand, this is dirt, you can see it in the drop-down box there. This is algae, this is sandstone. You know, all these different things. This is copper. And, you know, you want to make sure you pick up a lot of this stuff as you go along, because otherwise you're leaving a lot of minerals and useful things behind. So I'm going to have them dig this out for a minute, and then I will set it up. If you click on any one of these squares, the information about the element will pop up. If you hover over it and leave it sitting, it will pop up anyway, or more or less anyway. Okay, now let's look at our oxygen. Ooh, this is not good oxygen down here. Now they can hold their breath for a long time. It's not really a problem. Our oxygen is all flowing up and to the left, as it always does. And our carbon dioxide is all flowing down and to the right. Now that down and to the right If you keep digging down, now they're just idle. I'm going to tell them to sweep. Oh, but I haven't given them anything to put what they sweep into. So we need to build containers. I'm going to right click to get out of the array, or you can click on it again up here. We're going to build some containers, and then they'll know to sweep, because they can't sweep without a place to put it. Automatic storage. We're going to say all and sweep on one of them. And then on the others, we're just going to say all. Because we don't necessarily want anything that isn't going to, that we don't want any new stuff. But we also don't want, we don't want doing anything stupid. You can take from one compactor, we have this is not sweeping. We can copy the setting and then run it over the other two, and they will automatically have exactly the same setting. That's really handy. So, we've got this. Now we need to put the toilets in as soon as we can, because they really, really can't wait. I'm gonna build them a floor under it. Now, all the stuff that could get picked up is going to move to above the floor. That does just happen. And the edible aspirins. No, the aspirins, we were joking about these guys being very disposable at one point. The little guys are, they're very stupid, and you can assign them a cot. If they're not assigned, at the end of the day, as soon as they get tired, they will pick a cot. But oh wait, one of them is a noisy sleeper. Which one is it? We're gonna have to build another cot. Okay. Whoops, I accidentally made one more. No, don't. That's the cancel key. You can cancel things all the time. I got distracted by the cat. So, to find out which one it is, I think it might be Gossman. You can click on Gossman and go to skills and crawl down. Nope, she's the one with gastrophobia. So, what's this one? Oops, I meant skills, not germs. Squeamish, duplicate, Ivor's lungs. Okay. Gossman, oh boy. Okay, the other one then is stop moving. Rowan. And scroll down. Skills. Okay, maybe I didn't have a noisy sleeper. I thought I did. I really apologize for that. I thought I had a noisy sleeper and I wanted to put him away, so I guess we don't. We'll just let Gossman come back over here. Sorry about that. It's been a long day. Okay. Now, this is called a muckroot. It's a seedless fruit with an upsettingly bland aftertaste. It cannot be replanted. So, I thought... Okay, and this here, as you can see, there's cracks in the sand. That means that there's an object hidden under this spot. Okay. Now, right now, they'll just keep sweeping and things until they get bored. The outhouse requires dirt. They've put dirt into it. So it's got 15 visits remaining. Every time. Okay, oops. And nighttime's about to come, so I'm not going to worry too much. And there they go to sleep. That is our first day. You want toilets and you want beds. The next thing we need to do is access the water, make power, and let's see, access the water, make power, and set up the computer. So I'm going to end this one here. This is the very beginning. I'm gonna